Pew.
Now, I'm not saying that I don't appreciate the layers of complexity woven within the character of Black Widow. I'm saying I dislike the whole of the character and what she represents within the framework of the entirety of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Sure, she's a super spy similar to the various other characters from the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show, too similar to be honest, but her character is underrepresented in the movies by a huge long shot, and that's the fundamental problem. While each Avenger has their own stick, with Thor having a hammer and lightning, Iron Man having fringe technology, Captain America and his perfect man and embodiment of everything good and right, and Hulk being an unstoppable brute, Black Widow's thing is that she's dummy thick and sexy hot, and is the only female Avenger that kinda matters because Scarlet Witch is sorta nobody, while Hawkeye is sorta unique considering he uses a bow and arrow, and has perfect accuracy, being somewhat awesome to a certain capacity. Anyway, the real root of the problem is that with Black Widow is that everything her character is, which is a spy, she isn't. Because when you think of Black Widow, I personally think of or better yet,
My name is Sydney Bristow. 7 years ago, I was recruited by a secret branch of the CIA called SD6. I was sworn to secrecy, but I couldn't keep it from my fiancé. And when the head of SD6 found out, he had him killed. That's when I learned the truth. SD6 is not part of the CIA. I'd been working for the very people I thought I was fighting against. So I went to the only place that could help me take them down. Now I'm a double agent for the CIA, where my handler is a man named Michael Vaughn. Only one other person knows the truth about what I do. Another double agent inside SD6. Someone I hardly know. My father.
ooh, remember that time at the end of Winter Soldier when Natasha Romanoff said,
I blew all my covers. I gotta go figure out a new one.
then we didn't get an entire separate series explaining how the hell she actually did that? But we just have to assume she did stuff off screen because, well, we're just supposed to make assumptions that she's the best spy in the world somehow, instead of making a TV series based around this.
My name is Michael Weston. I used to be a spy until...
We got a burn notice on you. You're blacklisted.
Talk about lazy. And this is me excluding shows like Homeland and The Americans, and considering how there are so many great spy thriller shows that exist on television like Treadstone. Black Widow had a chance of creating a spy thriller series because wholeheartedly I believe Black Widow should have never been on the Avengers in the first place and simply been a television TV show. But because her existence on the Avenger team is a complete and utter waste of potential of not only her character but the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, disregarding all the real life political interests of having superheroes and enhanced humans in a hyper-realized universe akin to our own. But speaking of spy shows, there's this show, I'm not going to say what it is as of yet, but I'll show you a clip of it and you'll tell me if it's interesting or not.
The attack is gonna be the Hush.
I'm handling it, Joe.
How?
Like I would any other situation that threatens to plunge us into World War III very fucking delicately.
They'll wait until the last day of the Hush, so no one's symptomatic until they get home. Spread the epidemic as far as possible.
It was an ingenious plan, really. Looks like a terrorist attack backfired. It's a Holocaust.
For them now, or us?
The effect it will have on the millions of peace-loving Muslims living in this country. You just radicalized half of them, Joe.
Marty Frost had just turned up dead. Her lawyer had a dossier of classified information on a dead man's switch. The files allege that the CIA is about to release an aerosolized plague virus at the Hajj.
Condor is based off the novel 6 Days of the Condor and its re-adaptation into a movie starring Robert Redford, which has now been re-adaptation into this TV series simply called The Condor. For those that aren't aware, Condor takes place in a universe or a world where the CIA is more of a tool used by the United States government as a means for covert imperialistic needs, and where most spy stories such as Jack Ryan, Jason Bourne, the Quantico TV show, and 24 take a pro-American stance on its domestic and overseas policies, with characters doing whatever it takes and going whatever the distance it is for whatever they have to do, because that's what they do, Condor is more anti-war, anti-imperialistic, and more let's talk about it. And to be quite frankly, it's more idealistic and lean toward optimism. In the sense, you could say Condor is a very noble spy, having a rather unique perspective on the spy genre as a whole. For example, its main character, Joe Turner, is a CIA analyst operating within the United States, spying on America's enemies and its people at times through a front CIA network strategic security and technologies company under the alias Condor. But the twist of this entire show is that Joe Turner hates being a CIA agent because he was forced to join the CIA to stay out of prison. But in addition to that, he disagrees with the CIA's methodology of how they do things because remember, this is a world where the CIA is all about covert imperialism. Kinda like S.H.I.E.L.D. from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Hey! But to quote Condor, the original movie directly, which this show is based off of,
Do we have plans to invade the Middle East?
Absolutely not. We have games. That's all. We play games. What if? How many men? What would it take? Is there a cheaper way to destabilize a regime? That's what we're paid to do.
You think not getting caught on a lie is the same thing as telling the truth?
No. It's simple economics. Today it's oil, right? In 10 or 15 years, food, plutonium, and maybe even sooner. Now, what do you think the people are going to want us to do then?
Ask them.
Not now. Then. Ask them when they're running out. Ask them when there's no heat in their homes and they're cold. Ask them when their engines stop. Ask them when people who've never known hunger start going hungry. You want to know something? They won't want us to ask them. They'll just want us to get it for them.
and the main character doesn't even have a good response to his argument besides right is right and wrong is wrong. This would be an amazing Black Widow or Captain America story, but no! It's too political! And kids won't understand, and it won't sell money! And if we take the movie too seriously, it won't be fun! It's pretty clear whatever world Condor exists in, the CIA are operating out of the best interests of the United States and its people. But the problem is that most of the people running the CIA are insane fanatics, that some even refer to the CIA as an abbreviated version of Christians in Action. Is their logic faulty? Not really, I kind of agree with them. But is it evil and wrong? Absolutely! It's true that the story is about a CIA agent trying to expose the miscellaneous practices of the CIA after they kill everyone in his office and manufacture a bubonic plague to release at the Hajj to end America's war in the Middle East, while simultaneously profiting from the oil and resources that it'll provide through a false flag operation / terrorist attack. But what makes this show interesting is that the moral quandary that it ultimately presents. The viewer becomes aware of the CIA and what they're doing throughout the majority of the show at the start of the show, and it's up to the viewer to discern, is this right? Is this wrong? Should we be rooting for the main character? Obviously we should, but is the CIA really evil for doing this thing, even though it's kinda right? I mean, it's gonna end in World War III either way. Rather be on the winning side, you know what I mean? But what makes the show better is that the main character isn't Jason Bourne. He runs away from fights. He avoids fights because he's just a super geeky person who's really good at computer science and network and securities, and happened to discover this conspiracy and on the run while his family and friends are being killed because of it. So most of the series is him just outmaneuvering the CIA and the assassins they sent after him with his intelligence. But talking about Black Widow again, this is what Black Widow should be about: espionage, conspiracies, the deep state, and general just being a crime thriller. And I'm not just saying, ooh man, we're just evil fascists and we like to control things because control is power. Woohoo! I'm saying have antagonists like the CIA from season 1 of Condor. And instead of having any of those aspects being pushed to the forefront of her character, she's just some random chick in the Avengers who does things, and in Civil War she becomes the representative for the Avengers? Like, what the fuck? She's supposed to be a spy! I mean, seriously, why isn't there a story discussing the political ramifications for the United States harboring a spy that has assassinated people around the world? Why aren't there any stories about super terrorists within this universe terrorists that do bad things because they're terrorists and not evil Hydra Nazis? And why isn't there a story where some remnants of the KGB who have ascended into the ranks of the Russian Federation are trying to kill Black Widow because she's Black Widow? Because what the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the screenwriters are telling me is that Natasha Romanoff was the top agent in a covert imperialistic Soviet Union program called the Red Room. Then one day when she said, "Screw this, I don't want to be here anymore," and defected to the United States of America, the generals that ran the Red Room looked at each other, then began to shove their thumbs up each other's asses. And Natasha lived happily ever after. The end. So again, why hasn't America received any retaliation for her giving up whatever intelligence she gave up on the inner workings of the Russian Federation? Because you have to remember, the Soviet Union fell in 1991. Natasha Romanoff was born in 1984 in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, meaning that Natasha Romanoff was active in the Red Room between 1996 and 2000s because the Red Room was supposedly defunct in the early 2000s, meaning that she was fucking 16 when she's supposed to be doing all this spy crap she's supposedly doing. And that's me only talking about her working for the Red Room. But this is me just reading off what it says on the Marvel database regarding her age. Therefore, whatever retcon they'll introduce in the Black Widow movie isn't my problem if it's added, because Black Widow is still a terrible character. Again, to reiterate my point, she doesn't add anything interesting to the universe or the story. For example, in Captain America Winter Soldier, which is a really good movie and a good movie Black Widow was in, considering that is a political thriller where Black Widow had a chance to introduce us, the viewer, into the seedy underbelly of New York City, showcasing the John Wick-styled continental secret society of hitmen and black markets all around New York where weapons and supplies could be bought. It doesn't! I don't know why it doesn't, but it just doesn't, and for whatever reason, it makes me really upset how underperforming her character is, despite how cool she should be. In Iron Man 2, Natasha is regulated to being Tony Stark's bodyguard, and the only significant scene she has is near the end of the movie in the hallway fight, while in the Avengers, the only memorable thing she does is accomplish in shutting down the black hole thingy. Now, I understand during phase 1 of the MCU, her character was about discovering her identity in a place where gods and monsters exist outside of the supposed espionage world she supposedly previously lived in the Red Room and XYZ this, while Winter Soldier affirms that new identity that she made for who she is has decided to be, despite being this self-loathing monster with no illusions of who she is, considering herself to be an irredeemable monster, hence her whatever the hell kind of relationship she was trying to have with Bruce Banner. But what solidifies her baseline personality and what brings her overwhelming joy is being around the paragon of truth and virtue, Captain America. If anything, Winter Soldier is about a spy learning to tell the truth and someone who tells the truth learning how to lie. Captain America's Boy Scout virtues is smacked across the face with hard cynicism and realism from Black Widow's naturally deceptive and cunning nature, allowing her to expose who she truly is and be accepted by someone who is the paragon of idealism. Thus, at the end of the movie and during the movie, when Captain America accepts Natasha despite all the dodgy shit she does, she also accepts that though the Red Room did fuck her up, she turned her pain and trauma into her greatest strength, using it to help those who need it, displaying that though there is great darkness within her, there too is an innate goodness and delineation from right and wrong, which is a good thing character-wise because, as we know in Age of Ultron, she views herself as a monster akin to the Hulk because she can't have babies. But then again, this is the worst plot line in her entire character journey, and the best thing to ever happen to her was the Hulk leaving so she could figure out whatever the hell's wrong with her. And this was for the better, allowing for her character to come to better terms with who she is by the time Civil War happens, and despite the nature of Civil War, she's the most rational in the whole character within the story because she's not carrying any baggage like Captain America or Iron Man. And though Natasha joins Iron Man's team signing the Accords believing that they should be responsible for what they do considering her past, it's not looked upon as her taking the easy way out of a situation, considering she's the one to later destroy the Avengers, breaking them up during the airplane fight sequence. Now, yes, I can explain and analyze the complexities of Natasha Romanoff's character in depth, discussing her transformation throughout the movies and the split narrative journey she takes despite being a supporting character this entire time. But I just don't care. I mean, I try to care, but...
Oh no! The got stuck.
Much like I said earlier in this video, when I think of Black Widow, I think of a television show like Shooter, Jack Ryan, Condor, Alias, Burn Notice, The Americans, and Jason Bourne, and then some. I don't want to watch a movie where Natasha Romanoff is saving the world from planetary threat XYZ, or evil just to be evil force because it's evil for the sake of being evil. I want to watch The Hunt for Red October or a Jack Reacher-style plot that takes place within a superhero universe, which should make it really interesting, with in-depth and complex criminal underworld somehow linking to superheroes and supervillains. It's not that difficult. Now, you could say That's why Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. exists. But that's a terrible show, and I'm not going to take the time to discuss the problem of every character's glaring moral superiority complex and why they do what they do, especially Daisy Johnson's. But ending my argument about Black Widow, there are too many plot lines to exploit or have this character in that just aren't there, and have it serve way better in a television series than in a movie that it's not Black Widow, it's just bad. It's the very fact that Black Widow isn't Batman bringing some big game to the table with her intelligence or strategic planning that makes her an improper fit to be on the Avengers. Because at the very end of the day, Black Widow is just a blunt instrument you send in a direction, and she does a thing, and if she's lucky enough, she'll come back because she's an exceptionally good fighter. You could take Black Widow out of the roster of the Avengers and replace her with the corpse of a dog or a rock, and there wouldn't be much difference in their capacity to help the team. She sucks. All her character potential was wasted because Black Widow is a sexy character, but ultimately useless. But hey, I'm not gonna lie, Scarlett Johansson is a bombshell.